Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build MLB edition. I'm Kevin Roberts and Taylor Smith. Going to go over the DraftKings main slate. The goal here is to help you win some money. Had some good plays yesterday. The Rays and Orioles did not hit, but I was on Arizona, and I know we were on some other offenses that were pretty good and some definitely some good pitching. So hopefully you found your way to the green yesterday. The goal is to do that again. If we do anything here that helps you, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also consider visiting our Patreon. Just $5.99 a month to get access to all of our picks and advice and our Discord. All right, let's get into it here. The way we do this for MLB, we just break down the pitcher matchups and look at the offenses, whether or not we want to play those pitchers and whether or not we want to play the offenses. So we got a Corby slate, Patrick Corbin taking on the Yankees. The Yankees do get a park downgrade going to Texas. But as we know, Corby is somebody we do want to pick on when we get the opportunity, and the Yankees have a lot of power, starting with Aaron Judge from the right side. Obviously, they look really good. I have interest in them and no interest in Corbin. On the other side, I do like the pitching with Will Warren, pretty good price, and Texas is not at 100% full strength. So I think while Texas does have potential still, I do like Will Warren. So for me, it's Warren and Yankees here. How about you?
Yeah, definitely Warren. He's cheap, good strikeout guy. Like you said, a slight park boost going into Texas. Almost pulled my headphones off. No Corey Seager, as far as I know, so still a decent enough matchup. The Texas lineup's been a little bit better lately, but cheap pitching on this slate is hard to come by, especially with the weather we have in the Minnesota game. So Warren is actually my highest exposed pitcher on the slate as of now, because there is a lot of offense to pay up for, and he's cheap. So I don't mind that. Yankees more of a mini stack than a full stack for me. Obviously, the righties against Corbin are going to be the headliners: Judge, Goldschmidt, Volpe to a lesser extent. The lineup's not amazing once you get past those three. Like, I don't have a ton of interest in like Grisham, lefty-lefty, Bellinger, lefty-lefty. It's really just kind of 3-mans, 2-mans, one-offs of the Yankees, and then a lot of Warren from this game.
Yeah, same. Like, you can certainly go full man Yankee stack, but it's mostly Aaron Judge, maybe a little Goldschmidt, maybe Volpe, but that's like kind of it. Like, I'm not as into the Yankees as I normally would be, especially since there's like 5 or 6 other offenses I really, really like on this slate. But yeah, I think we're pretty aligned there. Moving on here, we have the Astros in Tampa taking on the Rays. Obviously, this park is friendly to hitters, and it's really warm there, and the wind is blowing out. So you can really go both sides. If you want to go back to the Rays, well, they bombed yesterday. That's fine. I don't mind that. I do prefer Houston, though, personally. They're facing Zach Littell, who is not striking anybody out and giving up a shit ton of power. So across the board, the hitting is where I'm looking for this game, but I do have a hard lean on the Astros.
Yeah, I think once again, I slightly prefer Tampa Bay. Like, Littell is a pretty decent pitcher, good control. Houston's lineup, very righty heavy, not very good. So I don't mind Houston as a mini stack. Not getting to Littell. Tampa Bay just kind of cheap. Brandon Walter apparently is starting for Houston. Not going to pretend I know who that is, even though I am from Houston and all that. But not a bad spot. You said the weather's good for hitting in Tampa Bay. It's a decently cheap stack. The righty power, once again, is where it start. So Diaz, Caballero, Morel, Caminero, right at the top of the order, and then Jansen, a pretty good power hitting catcher. So bats in this game look decent. Not amazing, but good enough. And the pitching I am off of completely.
Yep. All right. Padres visiting the Jays. San Diego does get a park jump here. Dylan Cease gets a park downgrade. The Jays are not really the most fun team to work around for pitching because they do not strike out that much, and they do have a little bit of power. That said, I do like Cease here. He is, as far as like the slate goes, it's not like the most amazing pitching slate, especially when you start factoring in price. At 8.8K, he is still kind of too cheap. I don't love the matchup. I think the ceiling might be a little bit capped here, but he just inherently offers a ceiling, so I do like him a good amount. Chris Bassett on the other side against the Padres, they strike out even less than the Jays. They get a park upgrade, and Bassett just in general, I feel like kind of is due for regression because he's had a good start to the year. Not super into the Padres, though. I think for the most part, I am looking at Cease, and that's it.
Yeah, he's underpriced. He's up there with the most talented strikeout pitchers on the slate. The matchup, like you said, is not good for that, but just kind of bank on the talent, take the discount. 8,800 is pretty useful on this slate, especially with Skubal and Yamamoto being quite a bit more expensive. Yamamoto doesn't even have a good matchup of his own. So I don't mind getting to Cease, but that's about it. I'm not getting to the hitting here at all. Not messing with Bassett against a very low strikeout San Diego lineup. Yeah, kind of just Cease or nothing.
Yeah, and like to be fair, like you can leverage the Cease ownership possibly. I think he's going to be like 20-something% ownership. Let me look at the ownership real quick. Yeah, 13. So I don't know. Maybe not much leverage there. Earlier, he was like pulling 22. So I thought maybe. But again, I'm just not super into the Jays anyway. So we agree it's Cease or bust. This game is probably not going to play. It's looking pretty bleak. Guardians at the Twins. But let's just touch on it real quick. If it does play, I think Gavin Williams is a good point per dollar play. He's only 7.6K. Not a ton of strikeouts in the Twins lineup. And obviously a hitter's park. But I think Gavin Williams, if we can feel confident about the game, he would be fine. I just don't think it's going to happen. And the other side, Chris Paddock, like if the game played, I would feel pretty good about the Guardians against Paddock, and I would not really have interest in him.
Yeah, I think Williams would be the best play on the slate if the game plays, but it's probably not, so we can move on.
It is a moot point. Okay, here we go. We got another game that is, I think, in doubt. Let's see here. It is orange per Roswell on Roto Grinders. Let's see. Chili, winds blowing in. So if the game does play, we could certainly entertain the pitching, starting with a guy, I don't know how to say that name, Casey Legumina. Is that correct?
Could be.
And then Bryce Wilson on the other side. I think with the weather factor and everything, obviously it's a good park for hitting. The Mariners get a good park jump here. So like if the game is okay, I again have some interest in the Mariners. Don't want the White Sox, and I'm not super interested in the pitching.
Yeah, I would have a lot of interest in Seattle again. Underwhelmed last night, and the game didn't have great hitting conditions to begin with.
They had 5 runs. It's okay.
It was kind of a Julio grand slam, and no one else did.
That's actually true.
That's true. It's a good spot, like Bryce Wilson, very low strikeout pitcher, very bad control against lefties. So if the game is good, I have no issue with Seattle. I think Wilson is playable because he's 5K, and the Mariners do have some strikeouts in the lineup. Not for the faint of heart, probably more of a large field play than something I would do in single entry. But on a slate without a lot of awesome, cheap pitching, I think a 5K pitcher is viable, borderline viable. So Seattle, Wilson, obviously not in the same lineup. Not getting to the White Sox, not getting to Seattle's bullpen game or whatever they're doing.
Yep. All right. Orioles visiting the Brewers once again in Milwaukee. Keegan Aiken taking on the Brewers. Showing reverse splits this year, so there's that. The Brewers are fine again. I liked them better yesterday. Not as into them tonight, but they're okay. Logan Henderson taking on the Orioles. He's been pretty good so far for Milwaukee, so I'm not like super excited to go out of my way to attack him. But I think the Orioles are totally fine here. Just this is one of those games where like I think both offenses project okay, and they have okay matchups. So if you get to them, I'm fine with them. But there's so many really, really solid offenses in great spots that they're just like, it's just not a priority for me. I'm not getting to them at all.
Yeah, Logan Henderson's been really good through a couple of starts, and now he's up to 9.5.
So he's way too expensive. Way too expensive.
I think you can try it in the tournament and just hope that he keeps it going. Baltimore, as we know, has been really terrible so far, even though I do think they're due to regress in the good way. Going forward, I think Milwaukee against Chase McDermott is a pretty good stack too. Like Aiken's going to open. McDermott has strikeout stuff. He has an insanely high walk rate, a high barrel rate. He allows a lot of fly balls. So there's kind of a Robbie Ray skill set there. The Brewers have a lot of lefties to throw at him. Don't mind a Milwaukee stack. I never loved the Brewers in general, but not a ground ball pitcher. They hit the ball on the ground far too often as an offense, but that shouldn't be an issue in this matchup. So kind of like the Brewers with a lean to the lefties. Baltimore, not so much. And then the pitching's not on my radar, except for like a dusting of Henderson, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on Henderson. I just think 9.5 is going to be a lot for him personally. I doubt I'm going to do that. Tariq Skubal taking on the Cardinals in St. Louis. That is a pitcher-friendly park, and he has an elite K rate, and he just doesn't give up anything. So Cardinals got their fun times in last night. I do not think they're going to have a good game today. And then you have Eric Fetty on the other side against the Tigers. I think Fetty's a pretty good value at 7K. I don't have him really as like a pitcher that I'm prioritizing, but obviously with so many expensive offenses, certainly you can make a case for Fetty being in there with like a cheaper ST1 or something. But Scooball looks awesome. Like if you can stomach the 11.5K price tag, like I'm probably going to try to do, I think getting to Scooball as like probably the safest option with an immense ceiling makes sense. Just not like he's coming out like almost 30% ownership. Doesn't feel high enough even with the high price tag.
Yeah, I'll still get to him a lot. 11.5 is like insanely expensive. That's like prime Kershaw country. He's earned it though. Like he's been amazing. The strikeouts have been up. He's been even better this year than he was last year, which is kind of saying a lot. It's not an ideal spot against the Cardinals, but it hasn't really mattered who he's faced. So Scooball, easily one of the best plays on the slate. No issue if you want to get to him at all. Fetty, I hear you, 7K, cheap enough. Detroit, not the best offense either. Like he's been pretty bad for the vast majority of the season.
Yeah.
So I don't expect a ton here. I think a Tigers mini stack is pretty interesting, especially the lefties. But, not really getting the Cardinals, obviously, against Scooball.
Yeah, plus the park is going to help him a little bit. All right, we got Coors here again. The Phillies did nothing initially and then exploded for 9 runs. I used a lot of Rockies yesterday, so when they got the Tovar Dong immediately, I thought I was going to win all the money, and then they basically did nothing the rest of the game. Super, super fun times. And of course, naturally, with me being on Rockies and Dodgers and Rays and Orioles, I was not nearly enough on Phillies, so that hurt me. Jesus Luzardo taking on the Rockies. Just naturally, like he feels a little bit pricey for a Coors game, but obviously the Rockies are not good, and he is. So I do lean Luzardo's way. I will say once again, though, I'm very interested in the Rockies because not just the fact that they are going to be kind of overlooked, and the fact that the game is in Coors, but he just like the numbers don't really grade out for him really well against a team that, while not good, they do have a lot of righties who do hit for power. So I don't know. I think the Rockies look okay. On the other side, obviously the Phillies against Antonio Senzatella, who does not strike out anybody. They look great. If you want to pay for the Phillies, awesome. The only problem is, how do we find that sweet middle ground of getting like a really nice stack and then also getting reliable pitching? I don't know if that exists. Yeah. Exactly. I think really you need to decide, like, do you want to go pay for like the Phillies or Dodgers or Yankees, or do you want to like find a stack just below there and then also still get good pitching? More on that in a bit, but how do you feel about this game?
Yeah, I think it's a way better spot for the Phillies than they had last night.
Yeah.
When they kind of sucked against Kyle Freeland and then got there against the bullpen, which is always a possibility given how horrible the Colorado bullpen is. But I like the spot. Like Luzardo has been pretty average overall against righties, utterly dominant against lefties. The Rockies don't have a single lefty in the projected lineup. It's not an amazing lineup once you get to the bottom. Tyler Freeman, Adael Amador, and Aaron Schunk. But like you said, they do have some kind of respectable power hitting righties at the top. So I do like a Colorado stack on this slate. I'm still fine with Luzardo because 9.3 relative to Scooball, relative to Yamamoto is a discount. And he is still a decent pitcher overall. And the Rockies, while it's Coors, are still not a great offense by any means. So fine with both sides of that. The Phillies, fantastic spot. You're just going to have to pay down for both pitchers in order to pay up for them. So it's quite difficult to have something you like, especially if we don't have Gavin Williams on this slate. You're doing like a Will Warren, Hayden Birdsong thing.
I don't mind that, though. That actually is pretty appealing.
Yeah, it's not great.
But honestly, that's it. Like that's like your best combination. Otherwise, you're getting into like Eric Fetty, Bryce Wilson territory, and that's not something I really actually want to do.
Yeah, I just think Warren plus Birdsong plus Phillies is probably going to be somewhat popular of a build, even on a pretty big slate. So just consider that if you go that route.
Yeah, and that's not comforting at all. All right, so moving on here, we have the Royals visiting the Bay Area once again. Michael Lorenzen taking on the Giants, and on the other side, we have Hayden Birdsong. Not a whole lot of good things to say about him, except for he is limited damage against righties and getting a nice K rate out there. Plus, he's really cheap in a pitcher park, so actually that's a good amount of good to say, I would say. Royals are not really a fun matchup. Talented offense, don't strike out. They can pop off. It's just like in this setting, I would very much rather trust Birdsong here, and he's 6.2. So I'm very in on Birdsong as an SP2. On the other side, Lorenzen's okay because of the park, but not super excited to play him against a very underrated Giants offense. That said, not really in on either offense here.
Yeah, I'm getting to Birdsong too, just because getting that helps you pay out for the bats, the Phillies, the Dodgers, whoever else. So don't love it. He's pitched exclusively out of the bullpen this season. He's starting tonight, replacing Jordan Hicks in the rotation. So he got up to like 60-something pitches in his last outing. Should be good for 70 to 80 if things go well, which for 6'3" is okay. Hard to feel great about it, but it's kind of the nature of the slate. I do think the Giants are a pretty good stack against Lorenzen. Pretty underwhelming pitcher overall. They do have a lot of right-handed power to throw at him. He's had more of a reverse split historically. We've seen a bit of that again this season. So I do prefer the righties. I think Lee and Yastrzemski are fine. Lamont Wade, I guess, in a stack. But I do have some interest, maybe more of a 3 or 4 man stack than a full 5-man in San Francisco, but not a bad spot. And then, I suppose since Birdsong is going to be owned, you could get to Kansas City, but don't love it.
Yep. All right. One of the best games of the slate has the Halos in Sacktown facing the Athletics. This has become a hitter's park for the A's, and they get to face Kyle Hendricks, giving up a 234 ISO this year against righties, not striking anybody out, walking lefties, just a real piece of shit across the board for DFS purposes. Athletics look amazing, 173 ISO. Not that many strikeouts here for Hendricks to take advantage of, so I really like them. As a matter of fact, they are my favorite stack of the slate. I think, like, as far as like implied run totals go, I'm not alone in thinking something like that. But when you have the Coors and you have the Dodgers and you have the Yankees and some of these other spots, like the Tampa Bay game is going to be very appealing. I do think there's a very good possibility that the Athletics go kind of overlooked tonight, and I love that. The other side, you have got Gunnar Hoglund taking on the Halos, sorry. And it doesn't really look good for him either. The wind is blowing out. It's like 84 degrees here. This is a hitter's park. Like, everything looks bad for the pitching here. I think because of that, you always can entertain using one of these arms as like maximum leverage because they will not be owned, and everybody thinks these offenses are going to do stuff. But I love the Athletics. I'm definitely going 5-man with the Athletics. And if you want to play the Halos, I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with the A's either. They're my second highest owned stack as of now, behind only the Phillies, as you would expect. Great spot. Angels bullpen, not good at all. Behind Hendricks, so no problem with that. Hitters from either side, totally fine too. He's been particularly bad against righties, but he's not striking anybody out. Hoagland is too expensive, not a great strikeout guy. The Angels, particularly against righties, and they are pretty much exclusively right-handed except for like Shanuel and Moncada. So I do like the Angels again. I was on them a little bit last night. They were okay enough. Decent little park boost for them as well. So no pitching here at all for me. All bets.
Yep. All right. To wrap things up, Dodger Stadium hosts the Diamondbacks. Ryan Nelson taking on LA. It didn't really fully work out there for Font yesterday. I thought he would get smashed, and that did not really happen. So obviously,
0 strikeouts.
Yeah, but he didn't really give up any damage though. So that said, Ryan Nelson again, same deal. He profiles horribly against lefty bats. Giving up power, walking, no strikeouts. Like, it all looks really bad, and the Dodgers are really good. So fire up some Dodgers. They are my second favorite stack on the slate. And by the way, I kind of say that tongue in cheek. Like, obviously the Phillies have the best implied total. They're in Coors. But I think when you factor in ownership, they rank third for me, below the Athletics and the Dodgers, just because we're playing tournaments here. But the Dodgers look really, really good. The only problem there, much like Philadelphia, is maybe ownership, but definitely price, namely Ohtani. On the other side, Yamamoto is not a good matchup whatsoever for Arizona. I mean, likewise, Arizona looks always tough. They walk, they don't strike out, they have power. Like, they showed us last night just how good they can be, even in the face of, a tough matchup against the Dodgers bullpen and everything. But I'm like kind of at just like, I don't really want to do either side here. Like, Yamamoto is 10K. Feels a little bit expensive in a not so great matchup with Arizona. And the other side, Arizona, like, I don't know how much leverage we're really getting here. And it's just like, I don't really expect them to blow him up. He just does not give up anything, really. He has a good K rate, really good K rate. Doesn't really walk anybody, doesn't give up a lot of power. So it's like, where's the edge there? I don't think there is one.
Yeah, the Yamamoto thing is interesting. Like, Skubal is just better.
Right.
And he's 1K more, so I'm getting a lot more Skubal than Yamamoto. Yamamoto's fine. He is a good pitcher. And the pitching slate's pretty weak once you get past the first 2 or 3 guys, but still not getting there. Just kind of a fund allocation thing. Like, I'll pay for Skubal and then something cheaper. Not really getting to Yamamoto a ton. Agree on the Dodgers, mainly the lefties. Not getting to Mookie or Smith as much as guys like Ohtani, Edman, Freeman, Muncy, Rushing if he's in the lineup, Kim if he's in the lineup. Like, they can get very left-handed on Ryan Nelson. So love the spot again. Underwhelmed last night, but I think Nelson's not as good as Fott, so I feel pretty confident about it. Nelson's another guy who's been in the bullpen, making a random start tonight, kind of like Birdsong. So probably want to have a super long leash, but the D-backs bullpen is kind of underwhelming behind him as well. And then I don't really think Yamamoto is going to be owned enough to make Arizona a great leverage stack, and it's not a good spot to begin with.
Yep, I agree. All right, that does it for our pitcher / game by game breakdown here. Hopefully it helps you out a little bit. If it does, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You can get access to our pitcher picks, our top pitchers that we're using, and also our favorite stacks. If you just hit up our Patreon, just $5.99 a month for all of that, plus everything else we have to offer, which is UFL, MMA, even WNBA we're doing in Discord, and of course Discord itself. All of that is included for one really low price. Before we wrap it up, let's hit our top stack of the day that is not the Phillies and the number one pitcher that we plan on building around.
Probably going to be Will Warren for me, just because he's cheap, and the cheap pitching beyond that is not very appealing unless the situation changes for Cleveland and we can get Gavin Williams. I'm just going to have a ton of Warren. I'll still get to a lot of Skubal. Top non-Philly stacks are going to be the Dodgers and the A's. I think you would agree on that. The Brewers would be kind of my sleeper stack of the day, I think.
Yeah, I kind of already revealed that. I'm just trying to find what was the lineup I had there. Yeah, okay. So I was just double checking what I had earlier, and obviously Skubal is the number one for me. I don't really care about the price, but then the other one is Birdsong. I really like Will Warren too. I'm with you on that one. If I'm doing a lot of lineups, those 3 guys are probably the guys I'm getting to the most. As far as pitching goes, certainly want a wider pitching pool than usual, just because, Skubal is really expensive and this pitching slate isn't very good. So I think I'd get, as long as my bats allow me to do it, I would get to Skubal and then kind of leave the SP2 a little bit open-ended as far as like what the optimizer is going to give me. And then for offenses, I already kind of said Athletics. I love the fact that there's like 5 or 6 awesome offenses in really good spots that I really feel good about, but I just want to kind of back away from the ones that everybody's going to be on. And the first 2 that come to mind are the Phillies and the Dodgers, possibly the Yankees also, because everybody likes to pick on Corbin. And if that is true, I mean, even if you stop at Phillies and the Dodgers, right away, the Athletics are just going to be way less owned than they normally would be. If you add in the Yankees, if you add in the Astros-Rays game, you add in the Halos, like, it's just going to keep diluting, and the Athletics are just going to really, really pop. And even if the ownership is kind of split, the Athletics still look awesome. So they're my top offense for sure. And you had mentioned the Rays. Like, I'm curious to see just how like overlooked that game in general ends up going. Just because, yeah, they're in a smash spot with the warm weather, the wind blowing out, but that kind of does rank like lower than Coors and the Dodgers and possibly even the Yankees on most people's radar. Wouldn't you think that's possible?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be on that game.
Exactly. So it seems like a smash situation that maybe on a smaller slate or a slate with fewer, opportunistic spots that, we would definitely click that those stacks a lot. But now maybe not so much. All right, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come check us out on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and good luck.